Thank you. I will be trying to be brief because we have 45 minutes to cover the infiltration of organized crime into the legal economy. Well, are we at 1 minute to midnight, or are we also already after midnight? Well, I think we're already too late with regard to medical cannabis. To date, even though there haven't been any legal proceedings, I believe that it is already quite likely that organized crime has already infiltrated medical cannabis. Why? Because you know that Health Canada has issued permits. It is RCMP that has to check for security clearance. So they check the director of the corporation who is asking for the permit and the senior officials. That is when they are conducting vetting. But we do not know who buys from those companies. They don't, for example, if there are 10 businesses, one that owns another, that owns another, that owns another, you understand that it is a chain. So sometimes we're even talking about trusts. So we don't really know who owns the permits. So who is benefiting from all this? Now, the cannabis regulation talks about medical cannabis, and so that means there are huge flaws. In addition, there has not been enough money invested in fighting organized crime. We haven't paid our Crown prosecutors enough. We haven't paid investigative officers enough. And therefore, if you look in the faculties of law faculties, the graduates go into the private sector, and mea culpa, because that's what I did at first as well. Now, with regard to medical cannabis, this regulation that is already in force, there have never been any annual vetting. The vetting is done for every 5 years, and a number of things can happen in the space of 5 years. In addition, the greatest danger that you will face are lawyers. Lawyers, I might remind you that we have the privilege of confidentiality, solicitor-client privilege. It's just a matter of trust in our institutions, but unfortunately, some lawyers are simply tools for organized crime. That is, organized crime they use lawyers who will act as straw men for all of these structures. And then when police officers conduct investigation, will be wiretapping, or rather, they stop the wiretapping, whereas it should be handed over to a judge to determine whether the conversations are legal and subject to solicitor-client privilege. In addition, sentences have never been very harsh in Canada. We're not known for cracking down on organized crime. Now, there's an excellent article in the Globe and Mail from March 2017 that states that every time we go after organized crime, people get very light sentences for frauds of millions of dollars. So Senator Pratt talked about messages to the public, the message to the public. Well, the public needs to know that even if there are flaws, the Canadian legal system is very, very good, but we need the resources required for some people who are trying to infiltrate this new industry. And I'm going to wrap up on that, and I will be pleased to take your questions later.